What's happening YouTube? This is Champion 2D Rob back again. How's everybody doing? Yeah, this is a pickup video, guys. It's been a while since my last pickup video, especially a last retro pickups vid. I've got a lot of stuff here, basically stuff that I've picked up over the last, well, some of it is actually from last year. Most of it is quite recent additions, but some of it I did pick up sort of in and around last year as well. But before that, before I get into the pickups, I just want to do a few shout outs here. First of all, I want to shout out Dana. As probably most of you already know, he's been doing a lot of really great live streams featuring YouTubers from across the community. And the other night, I was supposed to be doing a live stream with him, as well as Pete on a retro tip. Unfortunately, Dana had to drop out because of personal matters, but Raz Tendo, he with Dana's blessing, he decided to start up his own live stream, and last night myself and Pete did do a video with Raz. So big shout out to you, Dana, and I hope everything is good with you, mate. And also a big shout out to Raz as well for doing the live stream and asking me to come on. Myself and Pete are still planning to do a live stream with Dana as soon as he's able to. But it was really great doing it. I had so much fun doing it, and you know, it's just I think the live streams have just been really great for the community overall, especially over this lockdown period as well. And also I want to say that I've really been enjoying everyone's content so far. I've been doing my best to try and watch everyone's videos, well, as much as I can, really. And of course leaving comments and likes where I can as well. But yeah, it's fantastic, guys. Really have been enjoying it. Sometimes it's been a bit full on as well, because you know, like I generally try to watch like everybody's videos and always to leave a comment. It's not always possible, of course, but I just, you know, I just like especially when like people start doing pickups vids. I love watching pickups vids and nostalgia based vids, so I always try and take time out of my day to watch those. But of course, on top of sort of other stuff I'm doing in my life, I mean, like, just nothing important, but you know what I mean, like just balancing out a bit of family time as well as watching movies and playing games, and you know, and also creating my own content. You know, it can get a bit full on, but you know, but it has been good. It has been good, and I've really been enjoying everyone's stuff. Another thing I want to address, this is mostly for those that have recently subscribed to my channel. I haven't been able to talk about sort of the boost in subscribers I've had since I came back to YouTube. So I do want to thank everyone that's recently subscribed to my channel. I mean, of course, everyone that's been a subscriber to me for a long time. I genuinely appreciate those that stuck by me. Even though I wasn't uploading any content, every sub that stayed with me, like, you know, I'm thankful for, and of course I do appreciate that everyone that's been subscribing to me recently, and of course have been leaving me comments and stuff. Since I've been back, I've met quite a lot of brand new YouTubers, and they've, as far as I'm concerned, they've been an asset to the community. They've really been very active, and trying to you know, not just be about themselves, but sort of interact with other people, other members of the community. So it's been great. So thank you everyone that subscribed to me, and thanks everyone that's recently come on board as well. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about myself in terms of how I am as a collector and stuff. I mean, this is mostly aimed at people that have only just recently subscribed to me. They probably haven't watched my early videos. They don't really know what kind of a collector I am, what I'm about really when it comes to retro. So I just wanted to clarify these things very quickly. I should point out that when I first came into the scene, in terms of making YouTube videos. I came in as a Mega Drive collector, or more specifically a 16-bit collector. Like primarily I was collecting for the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. Those are my two sort of passions in terms of retro gaming. Of course, I do collect for other retro systems as well, but those two were sort of like my main passions, because that I was about the right age when those systems hit the market. So I do have a lot of nostalgic memories for both those systems, and that's why I have a lot of love for them. So you know, you will see in upcoming videos I will share my collections of those, because I would say that probably my best collecting for those systems have already happened. I've already gone through that in the past, but of course, for the benefit of my new subscribers, and also because it's long overdue, I will be doing updated collection videos for both my Mega Drive and my Super Nintendo, as well as other retro systems I have as well. So those will be upcoming, guys. But like I said, this is going to be a pickups video, and this is going to be pretty much exclusively retro focused, or retro related focus, should I say. I've got a few really good stuff here, some really good stuff. I was planning to include some other 16-bit titles in this video, but unfortunately I'm still waiting for one to arrive, so that's probably going to have to be in my next pickup video. But despite all that, I've still got plenty enough here to show you guys. So let's go straight into it. And the very first thing I want to talk about here briefly is not games, but actually some books. And they are retro related books. And for those of you that have seen my channel before, might remember that I was sort of picking up the Hardcore 101 books that you can buy on Amazon. They're based on various topics. I know it's a lot of what's written in the books is based off the Hardcore 101 website. I never really check the website myself, but I just like having them in book form when it's nice and presentable. And one that I picked up very recently, and I imagine this would appeal to a lot of you, and this one is all about the games from Treasure. Yeah, so this book basically covers all the games that were made by the developer Treasure, and also games that were inspired by Treasure as well. There's some really good write-ups, some great color pictures in here, and it's fantastic. I love being able to just read about some of my all-time favorite games, as well as other titles from this developer that I've never played before. I should highlight that Treasure actually is one of my favorite game developers. They've just done some amazing games, especially on the 16-bit platforms. I do enjoy what they've done, but unfortunately I've not been able to play every single game they've made. So this is actually a great way for me to sort of read up on titles that either didn't get a Western release, or just I didn't have the system to play it on. So this is a really fantastic read, guys. I definitely recommend it if you want to read about some retro games, and this is definitely a cool one to go with. And following that, I also have another book here from Hardcore 101. And again, this sort of ties back to what I've sort of done on my channel, and that's sort of highlighting a lot of obscure titles. And also, most of you know that I'm a big fan of sort of like action platforms as well, and I'm always highlighting them, especially on the sort of 16-bit and 8-bit platforms. So this book just really appealed to me, because I've always enjoyed sort of researching obscure titles. I love digging deep into the well of retro games, trying to find those gems. That's always what I've been about, especially on every console that I own. I try and dig a little deeper beyond the sort of obvious popular games. So this book I found to be a really great help. Of course, there are titles in here that I am well aware of, but there's plenty of stuff for me to read about games that I don't know, that I'm not familiar with. So yeah, this is definitely recommended if you want to sort of try and research sort of games, more specifically for the NES, because the Nintendo Entertainment System had such a massive library of games, and a lot of them went under the radar, unfortunately. So this is a great way for you to sort of discover some proper gems, and I definitely recommend this book or at the very least go to the website and read up about it. Either way, it's up to you. But the book I'm talking about is the NES Cult Classics. And yeah, as it pretty much says, it talks about a lot of the sort of obscure titles in the NES library. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a must read. I mean, there are titles in here that some of you have probably heard of that are maybe weren't quite mainstream, but were a little bit under the radar, like Kabuki Quantum Fighter, for example. That's a title that isn't really quite mainstream, but people that have sort of managed to go a little bit under the surface have sort of discovered in later years. And of course, it goes well deeper than that. So definitely recommend you guys check out the NES Cult Classics book. So yeah, got that. Okay, so as we're moving here to a gaming accessory, and this is just basically something that I needed so I could play some of my retro games. If you're not aware, I actually play a lot of my 16-bit titles not on original hardware, but rather on FPGA hardware. More specifically, I use Analog's Mega SG and the Super NT to play my Mega Drive and Super Nintendo games. Now, the reason why I use those systems is because A, they have HDMI output, and B, they're region free. You can play those games from all regions very easily. And because I in terms of my Mega Drive and my Super Nintendo collection, I also have Super Famicom games. I have NTSC games for both systems. So this is just a nice, convenient way for me to play them on a modern TV, especially with my setup, which has very limited space. But anyway, with the Super NT, which is the Super NES version, FPGA system, I was using my original Super Nintendo controllers to play it. Unfortunately, my main controller that I was using has sort of packed up on me. So rather than trying to get another used Super Nintendo controller, I decided to go with this very cheap but quality alternative, and that is this classic controller from RetroRetroBit. And this was less than a tenner, brand new from Amazon, and it is fantastic. It plays perfectly, and it definitely feels very close to the original. Unfortunately, it's not as nice as the original in terms of looks, but it works well enough, and the cord is very long as well, so it does work if you're playing it on a modern TV and you need to be some distance away from it. So if you are looking for a replacement controller and you don't really want to pay money for another used one, I definitely recommend the RetroBit Classic controller. Okay, next up, moving on to some games here. Now, I'm going to start off with some loose Game Boy Advance games. Now, these titles I actually picked up at last year. It was sometime around, it was in the summertime, I believe, when I went up to Bury for the Arcade Club YouTuber meetup, which was a great time. I had a fantastic time going up there. And while I was up there, of course, people brought games along to sell or trade to other YouTubers. So I actually bought these loose Game Boy Advance games from one of my mates, and that was Lee the Retro Chef. How you doing, brother? He so he brought a bunch of stuff down to sort of sell or trade on. So I sort of had a rummage around his stuff, and I picked out these loose Game Boy Advance games, and he did me a really good deal on them as well. So I'll just show you quickly what they are. The first one I got is Onimusha Tactics. Next one is Fire Pro Wrestling. And then I've got Earthworm Jim 2. And lastly, I got Super Street Fighter 2 as well. So yeah, I actually don't mind picking up loose carts. I do have a very decent sized box complete Game Boy Advance collection, but I think personally I kind of take the games where I see them. So if I do see good deals on loose carts, I do pick them up. Next few games I've got here are actually Game Gear games. I have 3 loose cart Game Gear games. And I should explain actually that I don't even own a Game Gear. I've never owned the Game Gear. The reason why I picked these games up was because I bought them in preparation for a new add-on that was going to be added to the Analog Mega SG, which was basically a converter that you would use to play Game Gear games on. Unfortunately, the company Analog opted to sell it as part of a bundle with a bunch of other add-ons for other Sega 8-bit systems, and it was very expensive to justify paying for not only that bundle but of course the shipping cost for that bundle, when all I really wanted was that one adapter. And for the time being anyway, they don't seem to be selling the adapter separately, so I opted to pass on it in the end. I might try and source one separately, or hopefully Analog opts to release it separately. Who knows what I'll do. Maybe one day I'll find a good deal on a refurbished Game Gear, and I might pick that up instead. So we'll see. But anyway, I've got 3 Game Gear games here, and the first one I picked up is, if I could just open the box, I've got the original Shinobi. I've got, let's see, open this box. Come on. Oops. I've got Shinobi 2. And I also picked up, and this is actually was to try and complete a little subset of mine. How you doing, Eddie? I've got a little subset, and that was me trying to collect all the Illusion games. So I believe this was the last one I needed, and that is Legend of the Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. Yeah, I have the, let's see, I have the 3DS game Power of Illusion. I've got both Castle of Illusions for Mega Drive and Master System, and I also have Land of Illusion on the Master System, and I have World of Illusion on the Mega Drive, and I'm pretty much that. I think that's it. If I'm missing out any titles, please let me know, guys, because as far as I'm aware, I've got all the Illusion games. So yeah, so I picked those up, and hopefully I can play it at some point. Okay, so next title I have here, and this is a PlayStation 1 game, but it is in fact a PlayStation import game. So this is a Japanese title, and it was one I was really excited to play. And the game I'm talking about is, and correct me, I might mispronounce it, but I believe it's Neketsu Oyako, otherwise known as Hotblooded Family. And what this game is, it's basically a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, and it looks fantastic, really colourful, and one title that I was very much looking forward to playing. But unfortunately, my region 3 PS2, while this one was, I'd already ordered this game by this point, while it was in sort of transit, decided it didn't want to play Japanese PlayStation 1 games anymore for some reason. It still plays my Japanese PlayStation 2 games perfectly fine. It still plays all my PAL PS2 games, and it plays all my PAL PS1 games no problem. But it just won't play Japanese PlayStation 1 games for some reason. It used to play them, now it doesn't. So unfortunately I have no means to play this either. I am looking into possibly getting a Region 3 modded PS1 at some point. So yeah, it's a shame, but at the very least I do have this title. It's in lovely condition, and I do believe, let me check. Yep, it comes with spine card as well, and it's fully complete. So it's unfortunate, but in any case, I'm glad to have it in the collection, as I'm sort of more or less trying to go after as many side-scrolling beat-em-ups as I can. And I've just heard a lot of good things about this game, so yeah, really lucky to get this one. And finally, guys, I have a stack of Mega Drive games here, all PAL games. Now, if you're new to my channel, you probably aren't aware that I do have a decent-sized PAL Mega Drive collection. I don't have a full set, but I do have a decent-sized collection. But I did kind of stop picking up Mega Drive games after a while, because I kind of felt like I'd collected every game that I wanted for it. But after a while, I did sort of come to realise that there were some glaring omissions from my collection, stuff that I don't know why, I just never got around to picking up. And then I just sort of got distracted by other titles, and that's why I never picked any more games up. So I decided to revisit my Mega Drive collection and try and fill those holes as much as I could. So you're actually going to be surprised. Some of you that have been watching my channel for a while might be surprised that there's some obvious games here that I didn't have in my collection. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of fill those holes up, and yeah, and just try and get a much more comprehensive collection of games. And if you're unsure what I mean by that, because I'm not going for a full set, I'm just trying to get the best games that I can for the system. So anyway, I'll start with this stack here, and the first one is going to be a very obvious one, and that is Golden Axe. Believe it or not, I never had this game, and to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Golden Axe as a whole. Although I do rank the arcade game Revenge of Death Adder, that is probably one of my favourite side-scrolling beat-em-ups. But in terms of the sort of console ones, yeah, I didn't have any in my collection. Well, I had the sequel, but I didn't really get the rest of them. So yeah, this is my attempt to sort of get the full set. So I have the original Golden Axe here, and yeah, so I bought this off eBay, and I got it for a good price, considering its value that's sort of gone up a bit now. But when I got this game, it was absolutely filthy. It was disgusting. I mean, seriously, eBay sellers, man, if you're going to sell stuff on eBay, clean it up first, man. I mean, it was disgusting. And especially in this day and age, like, it was really not something that I even wanted to touch. So, yeah, I had to basically break this all apart, the cartridge included, and basically clean it up as best as I could. It's now in a much more presentable shape. It's not perfect, but it's definitely way better than it was when I first received it. The manual itself, is not in the best condition. It's quite battered, but aside from that, it's an overall pretty good condition. So I'm happy it does play. I've tested it out, and I'm happy to finally have this one in the collection. Okay, so next one I have here, Golden Axe 2. Now this is actually a title I did have in my collection before, but it was actually one of the few games that I actually did not own complete. It was missing the manual. But in hindsight, I wound up selling it off, but in hindsight, I really regret it, because it was actually, aside from the fact that it was missing the manual, it was in very, very nice condition. Fortunately, I was able to source a complete copy in very nice condition. So yeah, so I'm happy to finally have Golden Axe 2 in the collection. Next obvious title here, and this actually completes the series for me on the Mega Drive. This was the one that I was missing, and it's probably the one that most people have in their collections of the series. But I don't know, this is actually my least favorite in the series, which was probably why I didn't bother rushing out and getting it, and that is Revenge of Shinobi. So yeah, it is complete, and it's in really nice nick. And yeah, this does complete the Shinobi games on the Mega Drive for me. I grew up with Shadow Dancer. That is actually the one I had from when I was a kid, And then when I started collecting, I did manage to pick up Shinobi 3 for a really good price. Because this is actually my least favourite, I sort of never bothered to rush out and get it, but I decided I wanted to complete the series. And you know what, I've been playing it a bit and I actually do enjoy it. It's a lot better than I sort of initially thought of it. So yeah, it's decent. I still don't think it's as good as the other two games, but it is very good. It is very good, and it's a fun game, and I do enjoy it. So yeah, glad to finally complete that. And the next Mega Drive game I have here, and this is one I've never owned before, never played before, but I have heard about. It's mostly famous for its notoriously bad English text in the game. It is hilarious. Like when you read the opening, the opening intro, and it's sort of trying to tell this sort of space adventure story. It's hilariously bad how bad the English is on it. But it's a decent little shooter, and that is Zeroing. Yeah, surprisingly, never had this game, never played it before. Yeah, it's a fun sort of early horizontal shooter, and of course it is complete. I don't buy really Mega Drive games that aren't complete. Very rarely do that. But yeah, so chuffed to finally get this in the collection as well. And okay, so we're here at the last two games, and these are pretty big hitters, I have to say. Really chuffed to get these. One of them was actually on my list way back in the day, and I don't know why, I just never got around to picking it up. But yeah, it was definitely on my list. And that game I'm talking about is Flink. And yeah, I've been after this game for so long, but I got distracted after a while. I sort of ended up moving on to other games. So this was essentially the last game I needed out of my initial collecting phase for the Mega Drive. But I'm glad to finally have it because it's a really fun 2D platformer. Some really nice visuals. And yeah, it's fantastic. Of course it is complete, and yeah, chuffed to finally have this one in the collection because I don't know, like it was bothering me. Like it really was. When I sort of had the urge to play my Mega Drive again, I just sort of realised I didn't have this game, and it was just bothering the hell out of me. So yeah, finally, it's fantastic that I'm able to have this in the collection. And the last Mega Drive game here, now this is one that I wasn't actually planning to get, but then I never really knew much about this game. I kind of always assumed it was like a God Sim. I don't know why, but I always just thought it was like a God Sim, so I never really went out of my way to learn more about the game. But after I did a bit more research and I sort of realised what kind of game it was, and I thought, you know what, even though this isn't typically my genre that I tend to go for, it's one of those, it's one of the very few on the Mega Drive. So I thought it was definitely worth a purchase, and that is Salil. So if you don't know, guys, this is very much like a Legends of Zelda style of game, like a top-down RPG adventure game. It is it's not turn-based like it's just basically top-down action adventuring, and it's very cool. It's a very cool sort of Zelda clone. And I have played it a bit actually, and it's quite a bit of fun. So this is definitely one of those sort of unique titles for the Mega Drive that I enjoy getting as well. And while it's not typically the type of game that I tend to play, if it's an action sort of RPG, I do find them easier to get into. So yeah, really glad to get this one in the collection as well. So that's it, guys. That is basically my pickups now. There will be another pickup video coming, hopefully not too long in the distant future, as I am holding off on some titles, just waiting for one more to arrive. So I'm looking forward to showing you guys that. But yeah, so guys, please let me know about your reviews on any of these games that I've showed you guys. Tell me what your thoughts are on these games. I would like to hear your opinions. And thank you very much for watching, guys. I do appreciate everyone that's taken the time to watch and comment on this video as well. I know there's so much content being put out at the moment, and it can be difficult for people to get around. So, don't feel obligated to watch my videos right off the bat. I do understand that, you can't get around to every single video straight away. So, if don't think that if you don't comment on my video in the first hour or so, like of this being uploaded, that I'm going to get offended, because I won't. I do understand, guys. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for commenting and just generally interacting with me. And I do appreciate everyone that was sending me either questions or trying to communicate with me via Raz's stream the other night. Unfortunately, I couldn't see the chat that was going on, so I couldn't pick out any of what was being said. So I apologise for that. I do plan on interacting more. I will try and fix that in the future. But yeah, I'll stop waffling now, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.